7:18 here on Houston's Morning News. Google cannot avoid a class action complaint alleging that it discriminates against job applicants based on gender, race, and political affiliation. That's from a California judge. Join us to talk about Dallas attorney Amos Waranch. Am I pronouncing that last name right, Amos?
Waranch. Close enough. It's Waranch.
Okay,
How
gotcha.
are you this morning?
Very good, sir. I was worried about saying your first name right, and I should have been worried about your last name.
It's all good.
So, what do you make of what this California judge is saying? I mean, it's pretty clear that Google wants to hire people that think the same way as management does, but you can't necessarily do that, can you?
Well, it's interesting. Under the Federal Civil Rights Act, there is no protections for being a conservative or having certain political ideologies is not a protected class under the Federal Civil Rights Act. But California has a much more stringent law that does allow for lawsuits to be filed by individuals who claim discrimination for political ideology and their political beliefs. And so what's happened is just at the pleading stage, there has been no evidence, no depositions have been taken. The judge of the trial court in California said for the first time that a class action could lie for individuals who want to group together to sue a company for political discrimination. That's basically the newsworthy thing, in my opinion.
Can this apply across the country? I realize it's not federal law, it's state law, but since Google operates all across the country and probably has employees, could this happen and they could file in California?
My understanding, and I am not licensed to practice law in California, I am licensed in Texas, but my understanding is the answer to your question is no. Unfortunately, the precedential value for this is relatively low. It only applies to California state courts, is my understanding.
Now, I'm just curious here, too, because Google's not only been accused of, hiring based on political affiliation, they're also accused of discriminating against job applicants based on gender, race. Those are things that are pretty clearly against federal laws. So I guess a so-called progressive organization like Google, I'm scratching my head as to why their hiring practices seem to be so discriminatory.
And, that's a really good question. And I think that, the judge in the trial court, all he said was that this class can move forward. If you read kind of between the lines, and I read the opinion that he wrote last night, he's actually kind of throwing shade a little bit at the plaintiff's complaint. He said that they could move forward in this class, but he kind of expressed doubt that they would actually win after proving up evidence. I think that the issue for the Damore class is going to be their ability to overcome Google's claimed reason for why the firings occurred, or at least for Mr. Damore, was because of that memorandum that he released publicly that allegedly was not a cultural fit. That's Google's position.
Yeah, I understand that. But, without having a class action ability, you can't afford to bring an action because plaintiffs, you've got to prove the case. It's not like Google has to. You have to prove what they did.
Correct. And, the cost of civil justice is an issue all across America for all kinds of things. I agree.
All right, Amos. Thank you for joining us today. Good to hear from you, sir. Appreciate it. Dallas attorney Amos Waranch joining us here on Newsradio 740 KTRH.